The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck and Rico Lamitte, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us.
Smoking on that butane.
Oh, boy. Good morning, everybody. That's right. It is Tuesday, November 21st, and today is World Television Day. It's also World Hello Day, National Gingerbread Cookie Day, National Red Mitten Day, and everyone's favorite, Rico, especially yours, it's National Stuffing Day.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. Use that QR code somewhere on the screen to find out where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Rumble, and Facebook. So welcome to everyone joining us from any one of those audiences. And kicking it off today, that's right, we have the dope dad himself. It's Mr. Rico Lamitte, the Quasimodo caretaker, and apparently the stuffing man in the household. That's right, it is none other than the dope dad himself, Rico Lamitte.
Thank you, Jason.
Mm-hmm.
So, for today's story, it's a tale of two worlds: MSOs versus everybody. Now, the latter half of 2023 has seen the trend of cannabis multi-state operators exiting established legalized states, and we see that continue. A lack of genuine connections with and the inability to earn respect from local consumers led to lackluster sales against home teams of smaller, more nimble operators and neighborhood trappers, with the victors laughing them out of each region, one by one. But will it be the MSOs that end up getting the last laugh? After years of rapid expansion, some of America's largest MSOs have continued to streamline operations this year. MJ Biz Daily reported that the two of the biggest, Florida-based Trulieve and Chicago-based Cresco Labs, exited state legal cannabis markets in the past 5 months, reflecting ongoing efforts to strengthen balance sheets as the industry awaits widely anticipated federal reform and improved investor sentiment. Pressured by tough macroeconomic environment and the slow pace of federal cannabis reform, MSOs began aiming to quote-unquote optimize operations in more lucrative markets. Cresco Labs has retail operations in 7 states, yet exited Arizona and Maryland in recent months. The result, $191 million in revenue in third quarter and offsetting divestments, according to the company's latest earnings results. Cresco CEO Charlie Bachtell says it's all part of the company's quote-unquote year of the core mandate. Our third quarter results demonstrate our ability to drive solid performance with strong gains to our margin and operating cash flow by continuing to execute on a strategy where we win our core markets and with our core strategies, core brands, and core products. Core. Trulieve sold off its 3 remaining California locations this year and abandoned Massachusetts in the aftermath of Lorna McMurray's death in its Holyoke plant, what some are calling the industry's first recorded death due to cannabis. CEO Kim Rivers said during Trulieve's third quarter earnings call that by taking proactive steps to strengthen our balance sheet, streamlining operations, and reducing inventory, we will exit 2023 as a leaner organization with strong cash generation and a clearly defined strategy. Trulieve is best positioned for the coming wave of meaningful growth catalysts. Bechtel and Rivers share a strategic agenda based on two upcoming events they believe will cause a seismic shift in the American cannabis industry, permanently tilting fortunes in their favor. The U.S. government rescheduling cannabis and the much anticipated passage of the Safer Banking Act. The communal sentiment is that both catalysts will spur more investor interest in the industry, which will benefit everyone because trickle down economics work. While we've yet to see actual rescheduling occur, or the safer, or soon to be released safest banking acts passing either, the mass MSO exodus from established markets is an interesting game to watch play out. With local and regional operators claiming legislatively embattled yet established territories and MSOs who've learned from mistakes made in their quote unquote test markets, now controlling the social narratives and literally writing laws in their favor for emerging Southern and Midwestern markets, free of pre-existing organized legacy competition. One can't help but wonder what a truly divided industry will look like 2 to 3 years from now, once both catalysts are finalized. I know, being Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street for High 9 News, I'll continue to be following the Money Report on the news as it plays out, but I'm interested in y'all's take. Will MSOs exiting established markets lead to ultimate victory and the fulfillment of the promised sustainable economic prophecies written into their corporate scriptures? Or will the operators left behind figure it out, grow, and thrive in their absence? What do you think, Jason? Tale of two industries has begun.
Oh, jeez. Here we go. So here's the question. I think the biggest answer to this is if they exit, who is going to fill the gap?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Somebody's going to be there to pick up the slack to sell booth legal weed to people.
You know who that's going to be, right, Nicole? That's going to be the pharmaceutical industry. The pharmaceutical industry, as soon as they move it to Schedule 3.
Ooh, interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So you don't think the local small and regional operators, you don't think they're going to figure out, and you don't think they'll thrive? You think they're just going to get?
I don't think they have a chance. I think they're going to get their lunch served to them on a paper plate.
If we don't pass safe banking, these small businesses are not going to survive.
Facts.
Like this is a turning point at this point. Like 3 years into trying to debate, go back and forth, lobbying, people trying to put their money in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
Like the smaller businesses are the ones that are suffering. The bigger ones don't care. They're not the ones lobbying on Capitol Hill to pass safe banking. They could care less. They'll just watch the industry implode on itself, and they'll snatch up the smaller operators because they have the long money. They can wait. They can wait it out.
Yep, it'll be like
smaller operators don't.
It'll be like a receivership sale, and they're just going to come in and buy everybody for pennies on the dollar.
That's it.
Or not, and they're just going to let them all just fall by the wayside. I don't think it's like the pharmaceutical industry is going to be just like jumping in here either, just to sell mids. You know what I mean?
No, they're going to be jumping in for those cultivation.
They're going to sell Epidiolex.
I think these big companies like Trulieve's and all these, they're actually in the right position because they have the infrastructure already built to meet the requirements probably set by the FDA to do the same thing, and they'll probably be able to turn back on these investments when that time comes. But
with all that moldy product that they produce, you really think that they have the proper infrastructure in place to make pharmaceutical grade products?
It's not pharma grade product first and foremost. That's not what Schedule 3 means. It's got to meet a certain requirement set by the FDA. So
that's pharma grade to me. That's pharma grade.
That's not pharma grade. That's like Tyson chicken is not pharma. Okay, but they're surely selling chicken and chicken byproducts to 100% of Americans. So that's exactly what's going to happen. And these big companies have already made the investment. They've already done the spending. And yeah, there's probably infrastructure they haven't bought yet that'll probably be conglomerized or just like kind of swooped in on, brought under their purview, under their umbrella, and they'll utilize it somehow. But I mean, this is just like, hey, we don't have the money to pay for this at this point, so we're going to stop. And when the laws change, they'll come right back in and they'll turn those operations back on, most likely.
Mm.
Speaking of booth,
That's my opinion. That's
your prediction.
I think it's showing how difficult it is to make money in this industry, right? If these big giants closing down, they're closing down because they're not making money.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with anything else other than we're not making money. We got to reevaluate our budget for next year. And, how can we make more money in the right places? That's why they're closing down, right?
And Big Pharma has the government in their pocket to where they can basically mandate certain types of enforcement on the trap market and basically, consolidate all of these facilities and focus on single compound products.
But do you think it's going to be Big Pharma or Big Tobacco that
Big Pharma
takes over?
Big Pharma.
Big Pharmaco.
Yep, Big Pharma.
So I think I gotta hop in. My second cup is kicking in.
Oh boy,
So,
here we go, you
I don't
guys.
think tobacco jumps in until we are in a heat not burn scenario. They learned their lesson with tobacco, and they're really trying to become a smokeless product. That's the first thing.
But they've caused all this cancer. Now their campaign can be "We Cure Cancer."
I'd like to add to that, Yarrow. I would like to add to that. They have not. They just brushed off the Juul loss like nothing. 42 million just gone, and they don't care. They're still moving forward.
Peanuts to them.
I'm not comfortable talking about my jewels on this episode, but we can definitely do a deep dive.
I mean, you try to show them on every other
commit
episode.
to talk about it later.
You that when it comes to my vape tech, I'm definitely a heat not burn kind of guy. And so I do want to just jump over onto this safe banking thing for a quick sec, right? Because I was the committee chair for the Diversity, Inclusion, and Social Equity Committee for NCIA on safe banking. And the first thing I did when I became appointed that chair was I renamed that committee, because everybody has been clinging to safe banking like it is, like I'm Leo in Titanic and it's the life raft coming and I'm already blue in the lips, right? And the truth is we don't need safe banking in order to do some things on the executive side to reduce the number of suspicious activity reports and some of these other things that lead to the increased costs for cannabis banking. We don't need any legislation to do that. So everybody's like, safe. And I'm like, listen, there's a lot that can be done without waiting for Congress to do anything. And those things aren't being done. And the truth is this, right? And this has been a truth for years. Getting a cannabis bank account and having an intimate relationship with a financial institution, albeit, platonic intimacy, is not that difficult for a cannabis business. What cannabis is suffering from is not the ability to put money in or to have payment processing. It's the ability to access SBA and SBL. And so until we can get low cost of capital loans like any other business, stop with this bullshit about being able to put your paper in the bank, because that is not the solve, nor is that the biggest pain point in the industry financially.
Safe banking already.
I
can but it's not anymore.
Being able to use banking services, and that's what I mean. Yes, putting your money in the bank is one thing, so that you don't have a cash stash in your place of business. Being able to write checks to pay your vendors. But yeah, it's also about being able to get loans and operating like any other business does, and the benefits that come from that. Yes, you're absolutely right.
Rico, it sounds like you've indoctrinated Yarrow a little bit on this issue.
Yarrow, you are speaking Jason Beck's love language.
That hurts.
Nice.
That's a hell of a way to start my day.
Oh boy!
I thought we weren't talking about your jewels.
Oh man!
I use my jewels, Jason Beck, and love language in the same sentence because I might get nauseous.
We're gonna keep this train rolling. We're gonna go right into a commercial, and we're gonna be right back.
This is not.
How's it going, guys? Saman Razani coming to you from Green Street here with Jason Beck, smoking on the best weed in the world. Did you know that we have an audio-only version of our podcast available on Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and Spotify? Tune in now and check it out.
Really good point.
Yes.
Everything he says, you
Earlier
gotta
in
say,
the
what
show,
did
you
you
guys were
say?
asking for feedback. I'll give you some
Hey,
feedback.
That's because
Yarrow,
most people can't
Ron.
handle the truth and they run from the facts.
Can't handle the truth.
Facts.
You need me on that wall. You want me on that wall.
I am the Jack Nicholson to you, Tom Cruise, and you will vote left.
No, don't vote left. Whatever you do.
Are we good?
We're waiting on you, Rico.
I'm just loving what I'm hearing right now.
Of course, sipping tea.
But up next, he is known for smoking the best weed in the world and more love, support, and affection for America's 45th president than Melania. Jason Beck, what do you have for us today?
You forgot 47th, Rico. It's 45 and 47, just so you know.
No.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can't wait. It's going to be big. Real
Threw up in my
big.
mouth.
Oh, yeah. Throw up in your mouth all you want. That's right. You're going to keep on throwing up in your mouth for the next 4 years after this, so don't worry. You're going to be okay. I promise. You made it through the first 4. And you're in way better economic situation last 4 years than you are this 4 years. But nonetheless, I'm going to keep on rolling into my story because are you guys ready for this? Oh, boy. Minnesota is set to launch roadside impairment test for marijuana, you guys. That's right. Select law enforcement officers in Minnesota will soon have a new tool in their arsenal to catch cannabis-impaired drivers. A saliva-based roadside test. As required under the state's new adult-use marijuana law, Minnesota is launching a pilot project to gauge if different oral fluid testing tools can accurately detect drug use. The state is expected to roll out 2 different testing instruments next month that certified drug recognition experts will administer over the next year. In a quote, "These are by far and away the most commonly used testing units across the country," said Mike Hansen, director of Minnesota's Office of Traffic Safety. I find it interesting that's a pilot project, but nonetheless, I would expect that by this time next month, the units will be in the field and will be in use. Law enforcement in some other states where marijuana is legal have used these roadside tests to help establish probable cause, similar to preliminary breathalyzer screening for alcohol. Minnesota officers could do the same in the future, but test results taken during the pilot period may not be used as cause for arrest or as evidence in court, according to the law. The roadside tests being piloted are intended only for the purpose of analyzing the proactivity, accuracy, and efficiency of the instrument, according to the statute. Their results will be compared to laboratory blood testing, and officers must obtain a driver's consent before administering the oral fluid test. They will ask drivers to swab their own mouth until the swab changes color, Hansen says. Maybe it's going to turn green. The state plans to purchase about 100 tests for the pilot project at a cost of just under $5,000 a piece. Who's selling these? Hansen said. And Minnesota's Public Safety Commissioner must report the results of the pilot project to the legislature by February of 2025. Michigan, which legalized marijuana by voter referendum in 2018, has studied oral fluid tests with cannabis and other drugs in recent years. And a report published by the Michigan State Police back in 2021 found that oral fluid testing instruments were an effective preliminary screening tool, but not as reliable as a blood test. One of the problems with marijuana testing is the length of time THC stays in someone's body after the person consumes it and is no longer high. Further, every user's tolerance and actual intoxication will vary in a way that is not comparable to standard blood alcohol level limits. Oral fluid tests are more indicative of how recent someone has smoked, or rather how high they are. Sergeant Jim Jones, Michigan State Police drug recognition expert program leader, told the Star Tribune earlier this year. Chuck DeWeese, a traffic safety consultant who previously worked for the New York State Governor's Traffic Safety Committee, agreed. The tests indicate recent drug use, not level of impairment, he said. But DeWeese, who's advocated for roadside oral fluid testing around the country, believes the tests have proven to be an effective tool in helping officers build probable cause to make an arrest. In a quote, "You're still going to draw blood for the evidential, but This is a tool to assist law enforcement, Dewey said. Having more drug recognition experts trained to identify impairment is key for eventually convicting drugged drivers, Jones said, especially since oral fluid tests aren't admissible in court in Michigan either. Minnesota has more than 300 certified drug recognition experts, better known as DREs, and that's not Dr. Dre's, that's just regular Dre's, trained to identify drivers who are under the impairment for drugs. Hansen said the state is seeking to add even more before retail marijuana dispensaries open in early 2025. And in a quote, he says, "Our goal is to put enough DREs, enough Dre's on the road where a street cop that doesn't make sense, but nonetheless, anywhere in the state of Minnesota within 20 or 30 minutes can either have a drug recognition expert on the scene or at very least have a phone consultation," Hansen said. "We're being very proactive as we come up with legalization and when the dispensaries will actually open." State public safety leaders are also raising awareness about the dangers of drug driving through social media posts and news release, among other things. Driving high is a DWI. It's that simple, Hansen said. Well, what do you think of this? I find it fascinating that they're calling it oral fluid, but I'm just going to kind of leave it there and see what y'all guys have to say, because this is Jason Beck for the High at 9 News. What do y'all think?
I think if they actually had something that worked,
First of all, you want me to put a swab in my mouth
until it turns colors?
With some form of chemical on it that I don't know, and then wait for that chemical to then absorb into my skin in my mouth
and change the color.
And then change color.
Yep.
It's actually your saliva that activates it, Nicole, not the other way around. So your saliva has to activate the chemical, and it creates a color reaction.
Saliva activates a chemical.
This chemical doesn't absorb into my mouth.
You ever take a COVID test?
Yeah.
No.
What happens if you ask them and you can't just spit on it?
Come on.
Well, they don't let you just spit on it, bro.
Come on.
This is the side of the road, but it ain't that side of the road.
Come on.
But I mean, this is we already set the precedent by letting them jam a thing up our nostrils and like, you know, wiggle it around for 10 seconds. So now this is the next step. So just get used to it, guys. We allow this to happen. Now we need to.
The respect of us getting monetized.
Are you saying that you think that the Michigan State Police have come up with a way, and that this $5,000 machine and oral test can determine how intoxicated? Well, they've already said it can't determine how intoxicated you are. Only that there is presence of cannabis.
It's just like any reagent test that uses the color spectrum, right? So like the lighter the color, the lower the concentration. The deeper the color, the higher the concentration, because it's reacting more. So that's kind of how that works.
Does that also apply though to RSO, or if you are taking something, it's not in your blood, it's in your blood, how much of it gets put into your saliva? Because like if I'm taking RSO,
well, your buccal glands they already bypass the blood-brain barrier. So like that's how like you know, some certain sublingual stuff works, right? It's just absorbing into your buccal glands, it's bypassing all of the normal digestive tract, and it's going straight into your blood. So that is why you can pick things up with saliva. That's why they've used saliva tests for a lot of things. But I mean, do we think it's legit? Hell no. This is just a way for cops. This is just another way for cops to fuck with you. Oh, we got probable cause now. You're intoxicated, and we proved it with your dumb saliva test. What
about a waste of taxpayer money? Because it sounds to me, based off this article, that they're getting charged $5,000 a swab.
No, $5,000
thing where they sell a paper towel for $500. You know, like that's what it sounds like.
We sell High at 9 branded swabs.
I'm down. I am down, and I'll do them. I'll do them at half price. Right? I'll do them at half price, $2,500 a swab all day.
What happens if somebody is so cottonmouth that they are not able to produce the necessary saliva to comply? Like, you have to think about, why would you have a test that is directly in opposition of the major side effects?
I mean,
sounds like
you come in, you got dry mouth, you're like a little turtle with nothing in there. You're like,
I wonder.
They have
wonder how
methods
that's
to get
gonna
you
work.
reading.
I wonder if you would dilute the test if you like had a like swish of water in your mouth just previously.
Absolutely.
How
Absolutely.
about a mouthwash? How about a breath mint? How about some gum? And how does that alter anything, right? That's in
Well,
every
they said
pot
they
smoker's
said these
kit, right?
officers. They said these
So-
officers are going to be well trained. I'm sure
Yeah,
they're going
that's
to have.
what
Hold on.
one.
First of all, bro, these are DREs that we're talking about, and these guys are all trained, as we all know, to tell you that if you've smoked marijuana, your tongue turns green. So, I mean, we have
I
to
was
be real.
thinking that. Yeah, like so.
Silly, it's not going to
so-
work. Scientifically, it doesn't work. And
Right.
that's
And
just
I
the
think
reality. And
honestly, I think that there should be a nationwide effort by police and consumers to partner together. And people like, have you seen? There was a Netflix series that the guy, I can't remember his name, and he did like a bong rip, and then he went and drove on a track and had the police with him. And so I think that there's a way, like he did a bong rip and then he drove on the track immediately, and then he did a bong rip and he drove on the track an hour later. And his him being able to drive that track differed based on an hour after he smoked. And I think that if we had some more roadside tests that help people to, like, literally you hit a bong and then you do some tests to determine like how intoxicated you are, just like they have roadside, say the alphabet backwards or some shit like that.
Could you imagine?
everybody's different. Every
Everybody's
strain of pot is
physiology is
different. Everything is different.
Could
standardize
you
the
imagine?
roadside
Could you imagine if they really
policy.
had something like that, Nicole, and then you would get certified in your driving test, and they put like a little weed leaf on there if you were allowed to be
drive
intoxicated?
stoned.
Yeah, exactly, because it doesn't impair you.
That's
Love that idea.
If they're gonna do roadside
A
tests,
little beer
Love that
bottle,
idea.
and you can drive drunk too next? Is that what you're going to suggest?
As long as you could get if you can get the sticker, you've passed the test, you've done the training,
Yeah.
put in the
That's right.
years.
That's
Right?
right.
You're
Exactly.
an expert.
Not to mention, you've been able to identify boof apparently very well, because apparently you have a very high tolerance.
Exactly.
if they're gonna do
On
roadside
board,
tests,
Jason.
they
We
should
finally
station
agree.
them.
We
They
Todd,
should,
For
they should
movement.
embed these roadside tests in like really delicious, quick restaurants right off the road. So they need to take the DREs and put them with the MREs and make sure that they are capturing all the hungry drivers, right? And they could just do it at the drive-through.
I thought you were
And
going to give
someone's
us
like,
another
let me get a
three-letter acronym.
double with cheese and give me the quick swab at the same time.
I thought you were going to give us another three-letter acronym right there, Euro. You kind of messed up the beat.
I'm sure these trained officers have methods of handling people who say they can't salivate. They know ways to make you drool.
Yeah,
They're
it's
gonna come
called
out-
handcuffing,
they're gonna bring
tasing,
out-
and fucking pepper
They're gonna bring
spray.
out the vice unit. They're gonna bring out the unit of stripping cops.
I'm
Straight.
not, man. That would be
Out there,
amazing if
in
they had
uniform,
stripper
they
cops.
can drool all over that swab.
Whether it's
Hey,
DRE,
dude, you got to go to MJ Biz for it. Did somebody have a loud noise complaint? I'm bringing my Velcro pants anyway. I'm
Somebody
taking my
smoking
Velcro
marijuana
pants
on the
on
road.
the expo floor. I'm like, is that ag tech or are you just happy to see me? Rip.
And in all fairness, I do know a female one time that was getting ready to get handcuffed by law enforcement, and she asked them specifically for the pink furry ones. Just saying.
I'm not in pink furries.
Just saying.
I like her sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
Back to the story. I am skeptical of anybody who is supposed to be any type of research or agent or officer that is supposed to know if somebody's high and they've never gotten high. I mean, it's just hard. How
Best thing ever.
would you know? I mean, if for decades they were training officers to look for green tongues to determine
They
whether
still
or not
are,
somebody
Nicole.
is
They still are.
weed,
They still are.
that is mind blowing. And so obviously it's like, how can you do this research if you've never been around people who are consuming or get high?
I feel like
you might not have to actually do it, but anybody who's been around somebody that smokes weed knows that their tongues don't turn green.
I feel like Charms Blow Pop and Jolly Rancher should join forces and sue all these police departments for teaching their DREs this, because they're actually losing sales by arresting people that like Charms Blow Pops, Sour Apple, and Jolly Ranchers. Just saying.
Now they can prevent that with this new swab. Right?
Oh boy, I think the swab might turn your tongue green, Todd. But
Yeah.
That's very possible.
but
It
nonetheless,
could do anything. Who
yes,
knows?
yes, we do got to keep this train rolling. We are going to move right on in to Miss Nicole Buffong. She is a purple plant medicine specialist, and she is the voice of the Encyclopedia on Power 88 in Las Vegas, Nevada, every Wednesday. That's right. It is none other than Miss Purple Plant Magic herself, Nicole Buffong.
Thank you so much, Jason, for that lovely introduction. I'm going to, of course, jump across the water and cover follow-up story from South Africa. About maybe 2 months ago, we talked about their legalization bill, working through their legislative process. And I'm happy to announce that in a significant move towards cannabis reform, South Africa's National Assembly has given its approval to the Cannabis for Private Purposes bill, potentially paving the way for the legalization of personal cannabis use. This development comes after a 2018 judgment that decriminalized private cannabis use, signaling a possible turning point for South Africa's cannabis landscape. The bill focuses exclusively on cannabis for personal use by adults, though authorities recently ordered an end to arrests for use and possession. That was the last story that I reported on. I think it was last month. Selling marijuana is still illegal, though. In the words of the Democratic Alliance Parliament member, if you want to smoke it, you have to grow it. Don't buy it. The bill does not include some crucial details, such as possession limits and legalization for medical use. However, regulations governing private adult cannabis use are expected to be addressed in separate rulemaking from Justice and Correctional Services Minister. And so one notable aspect of the bill is its provision to expunge criminal records. Yay! Yay, 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 South Africa. They're going to expunge criminal records related to cannabis convictions, a move in line with many reform measures in the United States. These records may be cleared for those previously convicted of possession, use, and other cannabis-based charges. The prolonged delay in advancing the bill, which took 5 years to reach this point, can be attributed to concerns about its potential impact on children. The Department of Justice and Constitutional Development urged the committee to consider children's best interest in the context of legalizing adult cannabis use. Although the bill does not establish a recreational cannabis market or permit cannabis sales, there is optimism that it may lay the groundwork for South Africa's future cannabis industry. The government has identified the cannabis and hemp sector as a priority for investment and job creation. Yeah. South Africa's move towards legalization also has the potential to have a substantial impact on the medical marijuana industry. A recent report revealed that MMJ is projected to experience some growth, highlighting the growing interest in cannabis-related opportunities in the region. Thanks to Benzinga, that's where this article was found. I am excited to see this growth happening in South Africa. My people on the ground there are planning. The people that I'm working with are healers, naturopathic healers, and healers whose families have been doing it for generations. And so they're preparing their businesses for a medical program to be rolled out, because that's what they're lobbying and advocating for. And hopefully that only people who are medical professionals will be able to actually prescribe medical cannabis to their patients. So it's exciting times. I'm looking forward to visiting South Africa very soon and experiencing what the marketplace is like there, and connecting with my people on the ground. Obviously, a move in the right direction to expunge records, and to stop arresting people and creating more criminals around this plant. So shout out to South Africa. We're going to watch this closely. Obviously, they're not in a rush. It's taken them 5 years to get to this point. And so we're excited to see movement forward in the right direction. But hopefully they will be able to say that this bill is officially passed, and they start implementing everything that's in the bill. So this is Nicole Buffong reporting for High at Night News. Love to hear what my correspondents think about this story.
Nicole, how many people do they have in jail for cannabis? How many people will actually be expunged?
I have no idea. And that was one of the issues. It's the same thing that has happened, that has come up in places like Trinidad and throughout the Caribbean as well. That a lot of times these arrest records get lost in the sauce. So trying to expunge your record, you go to try to find the record, and it was on paper from 20 years ago, and somehow that storage unit got burnt down, or something happened to it, and so they can't find it. A lot of these countries are just moving to a digital platform when it comes to these arrest records and things. So that's been an issue, is like even trying to find your arrest record so that you're able to expunge it. And so trying to determine how many people are in prison is just that much harder. I know there was a popular story of a South African that was that had created a co-op. And he got arrested, and so he became, kind of mainstream news because he was a white South African, and so he was able to get the attention that he needed because he was able to pay for the legal services and the PR to kind of get his story out. But there are a lot of farmers who didn't have the same resources, whose stories fall by the wayside. So I think it's going to be hard for them even to determine how many people have been arrested for cannabis, and how many people are actually sitting in jail for cannabis.
I think it's huge. This is huge. I absolutely love the fact that they say, "Oh, you don't want to get in trouble? Grow your own." That's
right.
how you start things off, and that's how you get people learning more about the plant, and they become sustainable. And when the bigs actually do enter the market, they're like, "Yo, get this shit out of here, man. This is terrible."
Has Elon Musk tweeted anything in regards to this new development?
No, because there's not enough Jewish people there for him to want to talk shit.
Oh, well.
Right.
I don't follow Elon Musk.
What happened? What's that, Nicole?
I don't think he claims.
I don't follow Elon Musk.
You don't follow.
I don't think he claims his South African roots anymore, Jason.
For sure he does. 100%.
He's just another American from Texas.
Oh boy. Oh boy. You guys. Well, good job, South Africa. We're pulling for you.
Way to go, South Africa.
We hope you do great. And on that, we're going to go to a commercial, and we're going to be right back. The Control Tower from Highly Educated has perfected the dab. Utilizing the concept of thin film evaporation, you can waste none of it and taste all of it. The micro texture of the SE pillar increases nucleation at elevated temperatures. And with the tower propelling at 2,600 RPMs, it's certainly the most efficient dab experience to date. The Control Tower from Highly Educated. Oh, yeah. Stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you hit that like button, and as well, make sure that you hit that like button. And if you didn't hit that like button, make sure that you do hit that like button. Also, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel if you have not subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's High at 9 News, you can find on our website at www.highat9news.com. Make sure you share them with a friend. And if you are not wanting to hit that like button, why don't you do us another favor then and hit that share button and share this show with your friends. I'm Jason Beck, and this is Smoky Vanilla. And if you want to feel as good as I look, then you need to get yourself a stretch and smoke with Smoky Vanilla.
That's right, baby. I'm Smoky Vanilla with my background in kinesiology. I'm a sports massage therapist and stretch coach. I focus mostly on athletes who have chronic pain or injury due to their sport, or the legends of the chronic in the game, baby.
Oh, yeah, you know what it is. We just stretched, and now we're gonna smoke, because you know what it is.
That's right. I love intuitively creating a session based on the individual I'm working with. We'll go through a few assessments, look at the past health history, injury, or anything that's still affecting you today, and create a customized session just for you. Let's go.
A week from today.
Up next, he's a Las Vegas-based co-founder of the Smuggleverse and president and founder of Digipath Labs, here to bless us with a little golden tongue love. You know who it is, Todd Denkin.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rico. Thank you. My story about a city so nice they named it twice. As the New York governor signs marijuana tax cut bills providing local 280E relief, New York City businesses. New York's governor signed legislation to provide tax relief to New York City marijuana businesses that are currently blocked from making federal deductions under an Internal Revenue Service IRS code known as 280E. About 5 months after the Senate and Assembly approved the proposal, and less than a week after both chambers formally transmitted their identical bills to Governor Kathy Hochul, she signed them into law on Friday. While Hochul signed a separate budget bill last year that included provisions that allow state-level cannabis business tax deductions, a partial remedy to the ongoing federal issue, New York City has its own tax laws that weren't affected by that change. New measure is meant to fill the policy gap. Summary of the bill says, quote, this bill would allow a deduction for business expenses incurred by taxpayers authorized by the cannabis law to engage in the sale, distribution, or production of adult use cannabis products or medical cannabis purposes of the unincorporated business tax, general corporation tax, and the corporate tax of 2015, commonly referred to as the business corporation tax. Section of the city's tax code would be amended to add sections allowing the deductions in an amount equal to any federal deduction disallowed by 280E of the Internal Revenue Code. Memo to the attached bill also says this modification to income is appropriate because while the expenses of cannabis-related business not be deducted for federal purposes, New York law permits and encourages these businesses akin to any other legitimate business occurring in the state. Cities' business taxes should similarly encourage these business activities. Also notes that the reform legislation has the support of New York City Mayor Eric Adams, who's got his own problems. Lawmakers in several states have pursued the tax workaround as congressional marijuana reform legislation continues to stall, leaving state-licensed cannabis businesses with significantly higher federal effective tax rates under prohibition. Last month, for example, Pennsylvania House approved a large tax reform that contains language to provide state-level relief to medical marijuana businesses. Reform has drawn the ire of Republican members who normally champion tax cuts. It's a Democratic giveaway to the cannabis industry. Of course, what else would they call it? In August, the governor of Maine signed legislation to decouple the state tax from federal policy for cannabis businesses. The governor of Illinois also signed a budget bill in June that includes provisions that will allow licensed marijuana businesses to take state tax deductions that they're currently prohibited from utilizing under the IRS code. That same month, the governor of Connecticut also signed budget legislation that includes provisions to provide state-level tax relief to licensed marijuana businesses as a federal 280E workaround for the industry. Also, the governor of New Jersey signed legislation in May to allow licensed marijuana businesses to deduct certain expenses on their state tax returns as a partial IRS 280E fix. Lawmakers in Iowa and Virginia have similarly pursued tax relief for their state's marijuana markets. At the congressional level, Representative Earl Blumenauer, Jason's buddy, introduced a bill in May that would amend the IRS code to allow state legal marijuana businesses to finally take federal tax deductions that are available to companies in other industries. He told Marijuana Moment that he's absolutely convinced that when we are able to fully deduct their business expenses, actually will be more revenue collected because people will fully comply with the law. For the time being, the marijuana industry continues to face tax policy challenges under the umbrella of prohibition. As the Congressional Research Service noted in a 2021 report, the IRS has offered little tax guidance about the application of 280E. The IRS did provide some guidance in an update in 2020, explaining that while cannabis businesses can't take standard deductions, 280E does not prohibit a participant in the marijuana industry from reducing its gross receipts by its properly calculated cost of goods to determine its gross income. I like how they show you, they tell you how to cheat. The IRS update seemed to be responsive to a Treasury Department internal watchdog report that was released in 2020. The department's Inspector General for Tax Administration had criticized the IRS for failing to adequately advise taxpayers in the marijuana industry about compliance with federal tax laws and directed the agency to, quote, develop and publicize guidance specific to the marijuana industry. Industry's 280E problem could also be resolved if the Drug Enforcement Administration accepts the recommendation of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Resources and moves marijuana from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 of the Controlled Substance Act. I'm Todd Denkin with High at 9 News. What do you guys think? I think it's a step in the right direction.
Tax is still theft, no matter what.
Yeah, I mean
Yes, it is.
This is still good, but it doesn't do anything. I think the headline's kind of misleading because it pertains to is New York taxes and has nothing to do with your federal taxes, and everyone knows that's the big Achilles heel in regards with cannabis businesses when it
right. But it's allowing for the deduction because you can't deduct it federally, so you can deduct it.
You can deduct it on your state taxes. That's great, but the percentage of your state taxes and compared to your federal income taxes is very, very different.
I still think that kudos to New York, even though they haven't had the smoothest rollout in acknowledging one of the biggest pain points for the industry. And,
Agreed.
Press release and PR aside, at least they recognize that this is a big issue. They're trying to amplify the issue. They are both the financial capital of the country, as well as arguably the tri-state area is the biggest cannabis market in the country. And so I've said a lot of not complimentary things about New York and their attempts to enter into the regulated space. On this one, I'm gonna give them 2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up.
I agree.
I agree too.
Yeah,
It's better. It's better than what other states have done. I mean, at least they're doing something, and it's going to help these businesses. And so, kudos to them for trying to do something to help with that bottom line.
Yeah, a lot of states are doing it,
and I think tongue and my honey badger, and I am going to buy as much regulated cannabis as I can.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
A lot of states are doing it. Pennsylvania, Maine, Illinois, Connecticut. They all doing it because cannabis industry complains. Right? Who do we complain to? We complain to the local guys saying 280E sucks, and I can't do this, and I can't do that. So I agree. I think it's a great acknowledgement of the overtaxed industry that we all live in.
It's a good first step. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it's not as big as the hype is, but it's a good start.
Nothing ever is, right?
Yeah.
Right.
It's like little drops in the bucket here and there. You know what I mean? Nothing.
But those drops add up.
Those drops add up. That they have.
Better those drops than
overflow.
Yeah, they don't add up fast enough, Nicole. Not fast enough.
Those drops add up, says the Minnesota State Trooper.
Exactly. Exactly.
A green tongue, I see.
Yes, yes, most definitely. Most definitely. Well, coming up next, you guys. Oh, boy. Coming up next, we have Mr. Saman Razani. He's a plant formulation expert. He's also designed a few facilities, and he does a whole lot more. And one of his main products, that's right, is Hello Again. He is the formulator for that, and women across the world thank him for that. That's right. It is none other than Mr. Saman Razani.
America, good to be back. A little under the weather last week.
Yeah, we're glad you're feeling better, Saman.
Thank you very much. I have a great story from our friends at Marijuana Moment today about our favorite state in the union, Missouri. Missouri marijuana businesses have sold more than $1 billion in cannabis products in 2023. Missouri marijuana businesses have now sold more than $1 billion worth of medical and adult use cannabis products so far in 2023. According to the new numbers released by the state's Department of Health and Senior Services, DHHS, retailers sold about $95.5 million worth of cannabis products to adults in October, plus another $17.6 million in medical marijuana that month. While both of these represent slight declines from a month before, they brought the state's total amount of marijuana sold in 2023 to more than $1.1 billion. And there's a graph here. I don't know if Adam, if you can grab that and show that for our folks out there watching the show. Broadly, the adult use numbers have slowly risen since recreational sales began in February, while medical marijuana sales have steadily dwindled. This year has also seen reductions in the number of registered medical marijuana patients, caregivers, and patient cultivators. All cannabis sales since 2020 total a cumulative $1.7 billion, according to DHHS. The number of approximate because unlike marijuana sale, the numbers are approximate because unlike marijuana sales data from most other states, Missouri DHHS rounds the figures to the nearest $100,000. Of tax revenue received by the state, lawmakers recently announced that $17 million will be used to fund veterans' health, drug treatment, and legal aid. Missouri's marijuana system has also experienced a considerable turbulent year this year, with tens of thousands of products recalled over the allegedly illegal use of hemp-derived cannabinoids from outside the state. Regulators last week moved to revoke the business license of Delta Extraction, the company at the center of the controversy. The incident put marijuana regulators on their heels regarding practices and product testing labs, which had already come under fire earlier in the year over alleged practice of lab shopping as producers sought higher THC potency numbers. Another company, retailer Point Management, which does business as Shangri-La in Colombia, recently settled a dispute with a union over 15 charges of unfair labor practice. Meanwhile, lawmakers earlier this month said the state's marijuana regulators overstepped their authority when setting new rules on product branding and packaging meant to limit appeal to children. Businesses last month also filed a lawsuit challenging the stacked local and county taxes that companies say is unconstitutional. And that's the story from Marijuana Moment today on Missouri. And there's a lot of interesting information here. I mean, they're obviously undergoing a lot, but one of the main things that sticks out to me in this article is that they had to deal with someone from Missouri that's a manufacturer using Delta 8 conversions, well, Delta 9 conversions that probably have Delta 8 in them, because chemistry is not perfect. That they got caught up for doing that, and that just kind of like goes to show what a green rush this is in Missouri. But $1 billion in sales says a lot about the I guess that middle America demand for cannabis, and I'd love to hear what everybody thinks about that. Guys, lay it on.
Absolutely confirms the demand for this product and makes it like any other product in the world, because the demand is just so high. Pardon the pun.
What's really. Go ahead, Todd. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying it. People say, well, this is they call it a religious thing. Well, when the religious states start wanting their weed, right, it starts to move the needle a little bit, or it should move the needle. And I mean, it's the demand is so high. That's why the black market is so high. That's why legalization is on every ballot.
And that's why
not only from the demand of the product, but the demand of the tax dollar.
You want to hear something funny, Saman?
Talk to me.
So, and you said this story today is out of Marijuana Moment, right?
Yes.
Now, this is where it gets really funny, because Marijuana Moment is promoting Missouri, saying, oh, it has this great industry, right? And we just did $1 billion in sales, right, for this year.
Well, they're saying they did $1 billion in sales.
Hold on. I'm getting there. I had to build up to it, because MJ Biz Daily put out a news article today saying that Missouri marijuana sales declined for the third month in a row.
Interesting.
So they still hit a billy.
They still hit a billy. That is true. They still hit a billy, but I just love the propaganda going on.
I mean, that this just goes to prove our, the meat. It's all about spin, and it's all about what the perception of the du jour is. The perception du jour that they want to promote. And whatever we say about anything, it's like Missouri, you wouldn't expect the sales to be at that level, I think. And I think that's why it's kind of so shocking, because you're like, wow, it's $1 billion in revenue, and it's not even been 12 months. So it's that's the crazy thing. It's actually way less than 10 months, because it started in February, right? So we're in November. That's 9 months. That's not.
And both of
and
these
it's in
things
decline.
can be true. Both of these things can be true. You can do over $1
Sure.
billion in sale, and you can still have declining sales 3 months in a row. The declining sales 3 months in a row is probably Trump's economic policies finally
That's
catching up
Biden
to
economics,
the
bro.
American economy.
Everybody was
And with
eating when
that,
Trump
the
was in.
diminished purchasing power by every Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Everybody was eating when Trump was
trending.
in.
I think it's just the trends of the sales of the time of year. And I think that has probably more to do with it. But hey, whatever you want to, whatever, take your jab at Trump. That's okay, Yarrow. You can do that. It's America. You can say whatever you want.
That's right.
Interested in learning if any of the prices have gone up. Like, had the prices been adjusted at all in the last 3 months? And maybe that might have caused the downward slope in sales. Who knows? It could have been anything.
People are feeling the pinch economically, so they're going from, they're saving their resources for stocking stuffers instead of pipe stuffers. And so, I mean, I definitely think that we are in troubled economic times across the country, and potentially those sales don't necessarily, those diminishing sales for 3 months in a row don't necessarily reflect the state demand.
It also could mean that 3 months ago, people stocked up, right, in anticipation of all of this happening, and they don't need to buy it right now because they got plenty.
I'm not buying that.
I'm not buying that. You don't just put the bottle on its side and it gets more impressive as the date gets older.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not buying that one either.
And also, does
People
Minnesota
always have money for vices, right?
does Minnesota allow home grow?
This is Minnesota.
Or you mean Missouri? You mean Missouri, right?
Sorry, Missouri. Does they allow home grow?
I think they do. I think they have a home growth situation because they have patient caregivers and cultivators and things like that. So yeah, I'm sure it's like every other medical state where you can grow up to a certain amount of plants, and if people kind of assign you as their caregiver, you are allowed to grow their plants, which is probably what they should have kept it as.
If they started growing in February, by now they would
They
have
started adult use in February, so they started it's been years,
Okay.
of industry there, medical, but the medical sales are still pretty good. They're just shy of $50 million a month in sales, basically, and I think that's those are huge numbers, and I don't know what that scale is because it's rounded up, as they said, to the nearest $100,000. So you don't actually get an exact figure, but we do see, the trending sales, and their medical sales are still pretty good for a state that just converted. But of course, doing $100 million a month or over in sales in a place like Missouri is pretty astounding, since we know it's limited. We know the access is, I mean, it's you have to travel to get to certain areas, but it's still in high demand all across the country, that's for sure. So I'm happy for Missouri. Anybody there? Holla. I think we got a couple homies out there of High at 9 News, so hopefully you're getting a piece of that pie.
Yeah, shout out to everyone getting paper in Missouri, but we got to keep this train rolling.
Yeah, I know we got to keep it growing. Jason, I have a quick question for you. On which cannabis publication is right wing and which is left wing? Go.
Oh, you're so funny. I would definitely say the Marijuana Moment would definitely be considered the left wing then, if we were going to put them like that. I don't know if I would consider MJ Biz Daily the right wing, but nonetheless, I would definitely consider Marijuana Moment the left wing.
We'll see how it plays out. Yeah. But up next, he is the second generation cultivator and the founder of Special Teams Consulting. You know who it is, the Sebastopol sage himself, Yarrow Kubrin.
Thank you. Thank you, Rico. Thank you. And good morning, High at 9 News viewers here Tuesday, November 21st, getting ready for Turkey Day. And thank you so much for tuning in. My article today in MJ Biz Daily, California cannabis brand Dose It acquired by partner Final Bell. California brand Dose It has been acquired by longtime Los Angeles partner Final Bell Holdings International. Under the agreement, Final Bell acquired the intellectual property of the brand and assumed its debt, company executives told MJ Biz Daily in advance of an official announcement. No cash was exchanged in the deal. With Final Bell's acquisition, Dose It will grow and become more accessible for those wanting a companion to a healthy and active way of life, said Dose It founder Jason DeLand, who will oversee the integration. Santa Monica-based Dose It sells vape cartridges and fast-acting gummies primarily in the California market. However, Final Bell plans to expand the brand to New York this month, as well as Florida, Canada, and potentially Europe, DeLand told MJ Biz Daily. Expanding to the East Coast, particularly New York, is exciting, he added. The Final Bell team has deep ties in New York, and our customers have long wanted us there. Dose-It, established in 2016, was one of the industry's first to launch a branded retail outlet in 2019 at its debut store in Venice, which the company shuttered during the COVID-19 pandemic. Final Bell subsidiary 14th Round has been the exclusive hardware and packaging manufacturer for Dose-It since its founding. The supply chain service providers' other clients include Cookies, Ease, and Jungle Boys. So let me kick this off for us real quick. It's interesting to me that there are companies that have holdings in vape tech and manufacturing and also brands. A good example of that is Tilt, which I think has never been able to fully optimize the proposed synergies of its holdings. It's also interesting to me that it's Dose-It. Dose-It originally started as a brand called Humboldt. You know, when people would take the vowels out of a word and make it seem kind of cool and arty. And in the beginning, I stood up at the International Cannabis Business Association conference and asked them, raised my hand and said, if you're going to name your brand Humboldt, does that mean 100% of your biomass that goes into those oils is sourced in Humboldt? To which they went, and started barking like a seal, asking for a sardine. They pivoted and named it Dose-It. And what was really, really interesting to me was that it was one of the first brands that I saw that had widespread use where the vessel, not the oil, became the brand. And the vibration and the metered dose and all of that stuff was really well received by the public. And so that was a paradigm shift for me, because I buy wine based on what's in the bottle, not necessarily based on the container. But I think it's interesting to note that a brand can be built on the hardware and not just what might be in that container. I also think it's a really smart move by 14th Round and Final Bell to expand the opportunities they have based on their important, critical B2B role manufacturing for many companies. So I leave it to you guys. What do you think, my fellow High at Nine News correspondents?
Those are good friends of mine, and I want to say, send a special shout out. I mean, innovation is at the heart of all of the real growth in this industry. Real growth, I mean, like you gotta understand there's a correlation between trajectory and innovation, and when you understand that, you can see who's going to take off and when. And it's just a matter of time before this highly useful technology for these new markets is expanded, and I'm happy that it's happening now. But yeah, they're killing it. They make some of the best devices in the game, and they have really great relationships that have helped to take them this far, and they got a genius design team, and they work really hard on getting that product to the point of manufacturing like a really quality tool. That's the devices that you see that are just everywhere. I mean, some of them are, I've seen a real sharp increase in the evolution of these products over the past couple of years, and I'm really stoked on what's out there. I think some of these manufacturers are doing a really great job of being innovative, but when you're first to do these types of things, it really sets the bar pretty high. So I'm glad for those guys. But yeah, I mean, I ultimately, as a consumer and as someone who's in that manufacturing world, I'm just eager to see the innovation. I think that's cool to see the design just one up itself every year or every few months. And now with the potential for some different manufacturers other than China, I think that we'll see some other really cool innovations come out of some of these other countries that are manufacturing this hardware now.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
I've had dosing products. I think they're great.
So Yarrow, I hate to break it to you. That's not why they changed their name. They changed their name because of the Appalachia law requirement and the fact the fact that they weren't sourcing their biomass from there. So it was
That's
legislation.
what I said.
No, you didn't say that.
Shout out.
You said they changed their name because you asked them a question at the conference.
No, I said that they were asked pointed questions in public about the source of their biomass, and then after that, they did pivot and change their name. Listen, that's not a stab at them. I think the vape tech is incredibly approachable. I know tons of people who enjoy Dose-It, including my wife. I think it is a very approachable brand, and I think the brand will do well in other markets. I think the majority of people from New York who use cannabis, who've been to California, have enjoyed a Dose-It pen before.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think the technology is smart, and I do like to see things like this coming to market. It's because it's geared to those that are just kind of curious, and more to a patient audience as well. But I think that it's smart, and I would love to see top quality product inside of it. Maybe some ice water hash rosin.
You're not going to see that.
But I think that it makes it easier for people to consume it that might not be the kind of serious, and it introduces new people to the product.
I do agree with you on that, Nicole, 100%. That I think that Dosis is probably one of the most easiest, user friendly beginner products for anyone that is newly coming into the marketplace, and it is it looks like a tampon. It looks very inviting.
No, it looks like an EPT test.
I don't know.
You are wrong. They do not look like a tampon.
Yeah, it does.
Jesus.
I think she's got some subject matter expertise you can't touch.
Jason, when's the last time you saw a tampon? Wrong.
Jason uses man ponds.
Man, wrong.
And
ponds. Yes.
Nice.
Now, every time you hit one, you're not going to be able to take it out of your mind, Nicole.
We have to wrap this up.
We talked about the honey badger yesterday. Can we move on?
Hey, Yarrow. Thank you all for joining us for yet another episode of High at 9 News. Catch us live weekdays at 9 a.m. Pacific, high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to our super fan show and love getting their comments posted live on the big screen. Our live audience and online supporters catching us across all media platforms, tuning in each day to the headlines of chaos, also known as the developing cannabis industry. To our vetted correspondent team tuning in from all over, bringing us much needed variety of perspective and your respective opinions to the table. To our production team, Cloud Media Partners, all our sponsors keeping the lights on, and usually our AV struggles to a minimum. As always, Cannabis Sativa L, the reason we show up to read these headlines every damn day. Thank you, too. It has been Tuesday, November 21st, 2023. The show is over. You've all been blessed with today's top industry headlines. Hopefully it was enough for you to put in your pipe and smoke at least until tomorrow. I'm Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street for High 9 News. And is Nicole still here? You got Nicole still in the house?
She's there.
Yes, Nicole is still in the house.
Why don't you take us out today? What you got for us?
I want everyone to enjoy this holiday week, spend time with your family and friends. But today, remember to keep it clean and keep it classy. Remember, don't smoke that booth weed.
Yeah, that's right. Don't smoke booth.
Or D8. Ever.
Or D8.
Or D8.